Well, thank you for joining the CleanEdison webinar about the BEST certification. We're going to give attendees just another minute to join, and then we'll be starting. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining CleanEdison's webinar. We're going to begin here shortly, but just a couple preliminary things. If you have any questions during the presentation, you have the ability to use the chat feature in your webinar box and type a question. We have staff on standby to answer your question. Alternatively, if you wish to ask over the telephone or your computer, there is a feature where you can raise your hand, and at the end of the conference we will go through and we will open up your line so that you can answer a question and then provide an answer for the entire group to hear. If there are questions that are asked with the chat feature that we feel are appropriate to be shared with the group, we will also go over them at the end. Today's webinar will be presented by Huerta Neals, and at this point I'm going to turn over the webinar for his presentation. Thank you for joining.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Ben. Appreciate the introduction. My name is Huerta Neals, an architect here in the state of New York, New Jersey. I'm also a BEST certified energy technician, also a lead AP, and I've been involved in energy and green buildings for at least the last 7 years here, 8 years in New York area and worldwide. Been very interesting, and it's very affordable for us to actually start delivering this BEST Building Energy Sustainable Technician webinar to you today, and I'm glad that you've all logged in. Now let's get started. Obviously, there's some elements of BEST that people don't know about. Preliminarily, it permits you to begin to measure a building in many different ways, regardless of the building type. And it permits you to really take a good look at a plan in which energy and power impacts the building, and begin to get yourself on a sustainable path. Now, obviously, let's start looking at what's the basis of this. Well, there's a lot of problems in the United States. Obviously, we use a lot of energy in our commercial buildings. We have to start to determine which buildings use what energy, and as we begin to baseline and benchmark these buildings, let's look at the ones that aren't performing well and figure out why, and begin to ideally drill down on those specific buildings on the commercial side. Now, we're looking at a higher trend, of course, in energy use. We've got a lot of buildings that are now, due to poor, most likely maintenance and the way the building's oriented and the operations of the building, have caused the building to fall into what we call a red area for energy savings. Most buildings, on average, can be tuned up to about 20 to 30% energy savings, really without having to change any mechanical systems in the building at all. And some buildings can go even further than that because of poor energy management. Simple things like electrical bills, looking at the utility bills, redoing those, looking at the way the building operates, looking at the actual plan of the building and who are the operators. Oftentimes the culprits can be right under your nose, and you wouldn't require to get an audit at all. You can just begin to implement this BEST program and immediately see results. Now, Wall Street Journal recently reported that 1980's finished commercial building in Denver was able to reduce energy costs by 35%. All they did was install efficient air conditioning controls and efficient lighting. That's a considerable amount of savings considering how much money we're going to put out every year on our electrical bills and our energy bills. Now, the BEST Certified Building Energy Sustainable Technician program permits the actual operators of the building to get certified, to understand where they're making mistakes, in the building system, from the air conditioning system, the motors that run the fans, to the electrical energy that's being delivered, to the gas delivery. From there, including water, you're really looking at a considerable group. Of additional ways in which the system can work better. So the Certified Building Energy and Sustainable Technician Program is going to permit your commercial firms to really develop a plan and execute and maintain a plan over a long term, and you'll see significant energy savings usually within 6 months. Now, you have to look at the implementation. You've got energy management strategies that require understanding. So obviously there's a lot here. There's some building techs that don't get the whole picture. They may just be on the plumbing side or the boiler side or the air conditioning side, and they're not actually communicating across all fronts. Well, that's what this BEST system was designed to do. The Association of Energy Engineers developed this program and material in conjunction with ASHRAE, American Society of Heating and Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Engineers. They talked with the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America, in which how all our lighting is designed. And they talked with the American Institute of Architects in terms of how these buildings are designed, what are the big problems. And then finally, they talked with the USGBC. We know they develop LEED and the LEED standard across the U.S. The energy savings involved here have been significant. So that's what we're looking for. The Association of Energy Engineers, they are part of a multi-level group of individuals that also do commercial energy audits, commercial energy management. They help make commissioning engineers themselves, and they understand that this is one of the components of the building technology that needs to really be addressed. That's why this course came about, to help technicians that work every day make the right decisions on energy and then pass that decision-making process up to the management and so on, and develop a significant plan that keeps them on course. Now, it's going to provide a lot of instruction. 4 days of instruction, 32 hours. In addition to that, there's an exam on the 4th day, and it covers a lot of information, and it's going to give you the basic theory and some actual physical opportunities to interact with the materials and the actual tools that you'll need to measure these different various components: mechanical, electrical, gas, air pressure, and so on. And then there's a final exam on the 4th day that's going to permit you to get certified as a BEST engineer. And that's actually a good thing. Yeah, you'll get certified as a BEST engineer, and you'll be able to say, look, I understand these systems. This is what I do every day. And you can use the book as a guide, and it'll pretty much walk you through what you need to see on a daily basis inside your building. Now, Starwood Hotels, recently with the American Energy Engineers, they put together their program based upon this BEST system, and they saved $3.4 million total in annual energy costs implementing the BEST management system after this track was trained. That's a considerable amount of savings, considering they didn't really change any other pieces of equipment, maybe some filters here and there. They understand how these pieces of equipment operate, and they put them on a better plan. Now, if you look at Hilton, they reduced their wattage by 450 million kilowatts an hour, which equals 65 million pounds of CO2 and a whole lot of pounds of cash, which is really where the money meets the road. So understanding that this system is working and is in place now is actually a really good thing. And we're happy CleanEdison can deliver this class. Now, operators. We've got to train building operators to turn the corner on understanding what green practices are. You've got maintenance personnel, you've got technicians. I think it's a great component for engineers and architects. I think it's a great component for building owners to understand BEST. That way, when they go to the table, they understand the systems that are in place. Building operators may understand some of these systems. They may not have seen them all. So this will actually help them see almost all the systems in a building. There are very few that aren't covered under BEST. And the ones that are so high-end, it's not even, they're covered. So there's some components of them that will be in our seminar, in our training course. Now, obviously, there's going to improve energy efficiency. It's going to enhance your operations, so making sure you're looking at a long-term plan. You're going to start looking at sustainability practices. How am I going to look at this code? Is this code going to impact me now, today, tomorrow, or in a month. Figure out, is your building really a high-performance building, or can you be one? It doesn't really take a whole lot to make that leap. And then finally, we'll look at energy efficiency and the principles of sustainability, looking at a greener workforce, understanding that this individual now is making a big impact on cost, and he's actually working towards your bottom line every day. And that's actually a good thing for a building tech to understand. Now, it's a 3-day course, and on the 4th day we have about another 4 hours of training before we go into the 4-hour exam. So start out with the introduction to what BEST is and how you really look at all the overall history of the BEST system and what it talks about. So building energy and sustainable technicians, who are we and what are we supposed to do? And explain how this actually impacts architects, engineers, all the way up the supply chain, back and forth on both sides. It's really a good thing. And also on the day 1, we'll talk about building utilities. We'll look at the different cost structures involved with billing your company and owning property. And what does that mean? What is my utility bill and how does it break down? I'll look at my different types of delivery services for electrical. How can I reduce this cost? I'll look at my power factor charges. Is there a number in which I can come below? Is there a number I can come above? Can I buy all my energy for 1 year or for 1 month? And of course, how to avoid spikes, how to avoid problems in my energy and my delivery. Also on day 2, we'll talk about facility costs. Well, obviously there's going to be gas, water, and electric bills coming in, but there's other costs that may or not be seen easily by the building owner. So obviously you want to show your technician, these are the things that are going to cost you more energy. Let's make sure we focus on these now, so when you begin to implement your plan, you'll be able to keep this plan running succinctly for 6 months, 12 months, how it works the best. Ideally, some things should work all at once, and other things may want to get staged out, but having a plan and understanding that plan is really going to be critical here. Now, economics, obviously, energy is money. Energy is time. So look at the value of time and money. Look at your energy budgeting. How much energy do I have? How much time do I have? What's going to be the difference? Your payback options. Well, obviously there's some options for returning on equipment. Some people don't even know how to do a return on ROI for a piece of new capital equipment. We'll show you how to do that. We'll show you those ideal calculations. There are a series of calculations under economics. They aren't very difficult, but they may take you enough time, maybe 5-10 minutes, to figure out what this actual return on investment is. And being armed with that information, now you can make the right decision. How long do you plan on being in this space? A year? 10 years? Well, if it's 10 years, replacing this piece of equipment may make sense now, because at the end of 10 years, it'll be time to replace it again anyway. So you have to look at your economics and the cost of energy. Once those two start to go on a timeline, you start to realize that the cost of energy is going to go up. Maybe it's better for me to look at this mechanical equipment and do something about it now. Now, there's other ways to look at energy, obviously, measurement and implementation. Well, we're going to look at test equipment. We're going to look at operations. We're going to look at types of measurements. We're going to look at the actual equipment, begin to look at the energy logging equipment that begins to tell you how the space is being used by the tenants or building owner, depending on what type of building it is. You can begin to log your energy use per room, per floor, per meter, understanding that energy is actually part of your water system too. It's not just part of your electrical system. And we'll really isolate this out so you can actually say, oh, I understand how this operates now. I get it. And understanding how it operates means that you've gone almost full circle on the actual component. Then we'll talk about lighting. What type of lighting is it? What type of lamps is it? What does this efficacy mean? And why do lumens deteriorate over a 3 to 6 month period? And when should I replace the lamps? And what type of lamps do I have? And how do I begin to audit my lamping and lighting? And what does that mean to a building owner? All these questions get answered. You get to immediately target problem areas right away, pretty much from the first page. You're like, oh, okay, this is a mistake, and you can see it right away. You get to talk to building engineers. Basically, as a building engineer or as an electrical engineer or an electrician or anybody that's in charge of actually replacing these lamps, you can begin to make the right decisions on what you're looking at. And then from that correct decision, put it up the supply chain. Tell your owner, your boss, hey, this is the right decision. This is the way it's supposed to look. This is how it's supposed to operate. You want to save money? Follow these instructions. It's almost a home run. You can't beat it. Of course, energy consumption. There's going to be specific ways to do energy audits per room. It may go from as simple as lights to as complex as heat load from the windows and lighting load and air conditioning load. And what does that mean when I replace complex fluorescent bulbs with LEDs? I don't have a lot of heat output, so that means that my air conditioning may drop a bit because I'm not heating up the building as much. And it may mean I'm now replacing that with a additional heat load in the building, which isn't significant. It talks about kitchens. It talks about how a kitchen should operate if you have one in your building. If you don't, then it's not a big deal. But understand that all these components of the building are really covered. Really talks about HVAC systems. Almost every type of HVAC system there is covered. It talks about whether or not you can actually measure this system effectively or not, how to measure the system effectively, who can measure the system effectively, and then if of all the things that you do, where are your best options? It's going to start pointing you directly to these best decisions. How long will it take? How much time and how much money will it take? Does this require me to redesign the system, or can I leave it in place and tune it up and get the most efficiency out of it? Really going to point to this directly. Now, in condition with air conditioning, obviously there's service hot water systems. So you're going to look at ways in which you can get additional energy back from these systems. In heat recovery, of course, looking at water storage, temporary, long-term, overnight, looking at reduction in usage, of course, insulation factors, all these things will get addressed under BEST. Now, there's also building heat transfer, which is interesting. It's more of on the architecture side. Poorly designed buildings don't do a really good job of keeping their mechanical systems from overworking or being overworked. And even though the mechanical system might be designed well, the building isn't. And immediately you've got deficiencies there, and pretty much point you right to those deficiencies. I think it's fairly straightforward, but it may take a minute for a building technician to realize that this is a poorly designed system, even though it may look fantastic. Now, we're all familiar with building automation systems, and these systems really permit a low voltage current to control almost any aspect of a building that has an electrical supply or an electrical current connected to it, i.e. fans, lighting systems, power systems, motors, doors, pretty much any kind of security system, irrigation. This is the top of the line. So building automated systems are really going to help the individual turn the corner on understanding getting a set mark and benchmark number. And it talks about systems that are on use now. It talks about systems that are coming. It talks about systems that aren't compatible with each other. This one won't talk to that one. And what systems are the best, so you can now swap out a piece of equipment, not have to worry about having to rewire your entire system. You can just put that system together, and that'll be the one, even though it may have 2 or 3 components from some other system involved in your building automation system. So understanding that, it's going to make a big difference. Now, of course, there's mechanical systems. So you have variable frequency drive opportunities. We'll talk about motor basics. We'll talk about power, supply, power efficiency, high efficiency motors, how to understand what's on a motor plate, on the nameplate of the motor, understanding compressed air systems, mechanical systems, and maintenance requirements that are involved. This is an in-depth course, and it's designed to really take an individual who may just be on light maintenance and help them turn the corner and become an understanding of these are the important aspects. Once I get these together, I can effectively develop a plan and sustain a plan and maintain a plan that's going to keep the building on a course to being energy efficient. Some of these things may point directly to replacement. Some of them may say, well, this is working perfectly well in its efficiency range. We don't need to replace this motor. Understanding these things are going to make a big difference. Now, by the 4th day, 3rd to 4th day, these are pretty much the back end of it, but we start talking about sustainability. And sustainability really looks directly at LEED and LEED incorporation of operations and maintenance. And a good part of that is in the best book here. They talk about O&M and O&M's long-lasting impact on the built environment and what it's going to be in the future and what it's going to be involved in with BEST. So if you have a green building or a LEED building, being a BEST certified technician helps you understand it even more. Talks about cogeneration systems. These systems really are primarily on the air side, but there's a lot of opportunities on the water side. There's a lot of opportunities not necessarily on the electrical side, but if you pick the right motor, you can have a cogeneration system in there too. So understanding those cogeneration systems, and of course, there's a waste side of cogeneration, which no one really talks about, but it is an available side. Now, it goes in depth into boilers, how these boilers are designed, where they're located, what they're supposed to do during what time of day, what time of start is, how would you know if it's working efficiently or not, what the new electrical requirements are, where this boiler, if it's creating hot water for the building just for water, or is it creating hot water for the building for residents to use as hot water in their shower and at their sink, and hot water for them to use during the year for their steam system. Now, this is an old New York thing, so it happens all over the U.S. too, though, these multifamily houses. Now, maintenance, of course, is another one, and commissioning. Understanding that long-term goal, being able to transfer your building user and your building occupant and your building technician into pretty much one person that gets it. He gets the whole loop. Have some education there for the building owner and the tenant, and then the maintenance guy will make sure that this plan follows all the way through. And then finally, commissioning. Is it necessary to go to the next step and have the building and maintenance systems and mechanical systems commissioned and do a summary report to say this is how this system operates most efficiently or not? That's a decision that's going to have to be made. But a commissioning agent would be the next step. But essentially, we're focusing on those. Now, American, glad you could come today and talk to us, and hopefully you have some questions for us. So this is CleanEdison. My name is Huerta Neals, and this is the end of our training session today, our webinar, and hopefully you've got the information you need, and we look forward to you signing on and inquiring about this new program we're rolling out. And currently these are upcoming course dates, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. I think Ben's going to come back on and start taking questions from people.
Thank you, Huerta. Yeah, just a follow-up to the presentation. If you think of energy use in a building, and you want to use an analogy of a car racing team, if you were to field a racing team, you'd need to have a car and an engine and a pit crew. But one of the most important things is to have a driver. And without a driver, your team will not be successful. What the BEST education program provides is it provides a training for you to have that driver on site to be able to design your energy efficiency plan, implement it, and move it forward to achieve the cost savings. We have a few questions. The way we'll handle this is we will open the line to those of you that have raised a question. If you could ask your question, we'll make sure that we have it answered, and then we'll be closing your line. So for the first question, we will be opening the line for Edgar Salvador. Edgar, go ahead. Edgar, are you with us? Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Next hand raised is Raymond Youngblood. Go ahead, your line is now open. Raymond, are you with us still?
Something about the overall mute must be on or something. Maybe you can unmute everyone.
Well, a lot of people have been asking questions in chat. So in a few minutes at the end, after we go through those that have raised hands, we'll go through the questions that have been asked. Okay, it looks like Mr. Youngblood may have had his question answered by chat. Here are a few of the questions that we have been asked in chat that we will share with the group. One of the biggest questions were, what were the differences between the BEST certification and, for example, a BPI certification? One of the key differences is that BEST is a certification that is for someone that will be on site in a commercial building that will be driving energy efficiency programs. Huerta, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that question?
I think that's a part of it. I think that's the majority of the people that are going to take the BEST class will have an opportunity to be either inside of a building working as a technician or somewhere in the facility or vicinity of a building. Maybe the main maintenance guy. He may oversee 5 buildings, and he may begin to do a BEST plan for each one of his buildings and begin to train his staff on each component of BEST and have them all working at different times, I imagine, on different parts of each building, because as he gets to each building, he's going to put a plan in place. So it could be someone that's at the top, at the highest level, or it could be someone at the middle or even lowest level. I think, me being an architect, it's helped me understand buildings in a much more in-depth way. Although I thought I knew a lot about buildings, I really wasn't as aware of the energy ideals that come along. And I've been involved with LEED for a very long time. So a lot of times architects would design a building and then kind of say, all right, this is the mechanical system I want, but not be firm about it and not be able to tell an engineer this is the actual system that should be put in this building to make it operate efficiently. So you can design with those operation efficiencies in your thought process. But ideally, it's designed to help the people that are interacting with the building every day make the right decision energy-wise and help the building become more efficient. And that the sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned in terms of the amount of opportunity that's there.
Thank you, Huerta. It seems like some of the people who are asking questions do not have microphones on their computers. And just as a clarification point, if you don't have a microphone, you'll need to ask your question in chat. So we'll go through some of those questions.
Okay.
A question from Sarah is a BPI analyst certification a prerequisite for this course? And the answer to that question is no. The prerequisites for this course are a high school diploma and 3 years of experience, an associate's degree and 2 years of experience, or a bachelor's degree and 1 year of experience. And that experience in any of those categories needs to be experience in building operations and maintenance. And it certainly is helpful if that experience is in an energy efficiency related fields such as heating and cooling or building plant operations. One important clarification is if you do not meet the experience requirement at the point in time that you take the exam, the Association of Energy Engineers will hold on to your exam results for up to 3 years to enable you to achieve that experience requirement and then grant you your certification.
Very good.
Huerta, here's a question that would be good for you to ask. It says, who is this training for? Current building managers, people seeking employment as energy technicians? Who stands to benefit the most?
Oh, I think that's a ballpark. Everyone. Honestly, no one has this certification. Very few people do. So if you don't have a job and you're interested in the building field and you have some experience, obviously, in buildings on the engineering side, this is a great addition to your resume. This is going to set you apart from all these various boiling exams, boiler exams, the black seal, the blue seal exams. This is an additional exam that you can take and really make yourself shine out as an individual candidate. I think this falls across the entire building field. I think engineers should take this course. I think architects should take this course. I think this is an easy college credit course for curriculum on buildings. This is probably the most comprehensive green course available at this level in America. This does things LEED can't do. LEED doesn't talk about how to solve the problem. It shows you what the problems are, and this is how many credits there are involved with that problem. It doesn't really give you the tool in which to solve the problem. And BEST says, okay, see that engine there? It's running inefficiently. How do I determine how efficient that engine is? And you literally can determine those numbers through using the BEST course, and it's pretty much programming and information that's already out there that just, I guess, people don't pay attention to. And BEST has compiled it from the best sources in America and put them in one place and said, okay, let's look at everything that could possibly go wrong and pretty much bring you up to speed on it and understand, okay, go to the left, you're going efficient, go to the right, you might not be going efficient. Go to the right, you're going efficient, go to the left, you might be inefficient. Just, it helps, I would say, anyone that's interested in the sustainable field and they want to be more hands-on, that's really the key here. And you want to be more hands-on, you want to understand this from, you know, soup to nuts. The BEST system is going to help you really get that training you need to turn the corner on energy efficiency inside of a building envelope. Now, you can apply that to whatever you want, but essentially you can take this and you can run with it, which is really what I think was designed to do, other than, of course, train the technicians themselves.
A follow-up to that, Huerta, we've received a number of questions about whether the BEST certification is a nationally recognized certification or if this is a CleanEdison originated program. And the answer to that question is yes, this absolutely is a nationally recognized certification. It is accredited by the Association of Energy Engineers. The certification that you will receive upon successful completion of the program and passing the exam is a certificate from the Association of Energy Engineers. CleanEdison provides the education program, and we also forward your exam results to AEE.
And you receive continuing education credits for doing the course. So as an engineer or architect or any professional that requires continuing education credits, you will receive some 30 continuing education credits for doing this course. It's a very robust way of getting all your credits done at one time if that's what you choose to do.
Huerta, we've received a lot of questions about this course being tailored to superintendents and building operators, but several individuals have asked about architects and engineers and how this course applies to them. Given your background, could you speak for a minute on how this course is important for architects and engineers?
I believe it's something that is lacking in everyday study. What you learn in school as an architect may or may not cover this, and your interaction with the engineering element of your daily life as an architect may be not as thorough as this specific system sets apart. As an engineer, I believe either you're on the mechanical, electrical, or civil side, depending what side of engineering you're actually on. This will bridge the gap for you. So bridge the gap for you mechanically if you're an electrical guy. It'll bridge the gap electrically if you're a mechanical guy. It'll help you understand the systems, how they operate, where they should be placed, what the settings should be. It really is very comprehensive. It's more than, it doesn't get glazed over, not at all. This gets thoroughly thought out, fully vetted, effective problem-solving tools are given to the individual to solve the problem on their own. And you don't need a scientific calculator necessarily to get this stuff done. It's not you're not a commercial energy manager, but it permits you to review a building and its operations as it exists and potentially construct a new building with these BEST systems in place. And because of that, you have an edge up on others in your field that may just be in one thing. Understanding this course and achieving your BEST certification is going to permit you to see how the building really operates on a day-to-day basis, on an hour-to-hour basis, on a weather-to-weather basis. As the weather changes, what should the building be doing now? And if your building's not following up with the exterior weather conditions, you may be wasting energy. So it really helps you go and say, well, it goes past just a duct and a vent and a fan now. It now goes into how am I managing this light switch that connects to the light, and if I'm smart enough, I connected a low voltage fan, low voltage switch to this fan. So when the light comes on, the fan comes on, and I'm not wasting energy all day. So there's a lot of things that go. That's just the tip of the iceberg. I think it's, if you want to, as an architect and engineer, this is a great course. I knew it when I started taking the classes. I knew that this was going to change the way I designed and the way I approach energy. And I think that's really the watershed moment. You can be the person in the firm that has a lead AP and you understand the principles of this stuff. But this says, okay, there it is. That's the culprit. What's the number? What's the reading on that piece of equipment? That's the piece of equipment. That's the problem. Get it out of here or keep it.
Thanks, Huerta. We've received a number of questions about how this compares to the Association of Energy Engineers Certified Energy Management Program. It's important to note that the course materials for the BESS training and certification were designed in part by using curriculum taken from the Certified Energy Management Program and the Certified Sustainable Development Technician. But this is not the Certified Energy Management Program. That program involves much more math. It goes over the ASHRAE level 1, 2, and 3 audits, and it is more intensive than the Building Energy Sustainability Technician course.
That's correct.
A number of you have asked about cost and class locations and the details of this webinar. We invite you to visit our website at www.cleanedison.com, where we have upcoming test dates and the costs. We additionally will be providing a link on our website to this webinar by the end of the week, and we will draw up a list of frequently asked questions and answers based on the number of questions that have been posed to us during the last 3 webinars. We thank you very much for your attendance and your questions. We look forward to seeing you in one of our classes and bringing this energy efficiency program to the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everyone have a good afternoon.